Hey, good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy winning Wednesday to you. Grateful to be here. You see my eyes going back and forth. I'm trying to do this live on YouTube as well as on Instagram. So, good morning to all of you. Super excited to be here. Kind of missed yesterday being Tactical Tuesday, but that's all right because today is Winning Wednesday. So, WIN, I have this acronym for WIN. What do I really need? And the theme this week for me has been blind spots, right? It's like I have this vision in front of me. It's like programming the GPS. We figure out where we're starting and then we program where we're going, which is great, right? Because we need to have that in order to if you have vague goals, you're going to get vague results. You don't just go to the airport and say I'm going somewhere and you don't have any destination in mind. There's not going to be a plane for that. There's not going to be any way for you to get to where you're not even don't even know where you're going. So we have this destination in mind. I have a destination in mind. I have my GPS programmed, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to have some blind spots along the way. I drive a minivan, and the crazy thing is, the minivan, it's an older one. It's filled with windows all over. You would think that I wouldn't have any blind spots driving my minivan, but I do. There are blind spots, and it has caught me off guard. Like, oh man, a near miss, and you have that awful, icky, panicky state in your body that comes, and the adrenaline goes. Well, we all have blind spots in our lives, and we can use those as cues to pay more attention, right? And I had that happen this past week where one of the areas that I'm getting freer and freer from on my journey, because that's my destination, is for me to live a fulfilled life, which is life on my terms. That's my lifelong vision. That's my lifelong programming in the GPS. Um, but we got to know where we're starting, which I'm doing work there constantly, right? And getting some recalculating. And one of the areas that really tripped me up for quite some time was I defined myself as a chameleon because I would change for whoever that person needed me to be because I needed people to like me. I needed people's approval. Now, do I still want people to like me? Yes. Do I want people to be happy with me? Of course. But I'm not changing who I am. I'm not living from that very dysfunctional spot. And I say living, I say that term loosely because you're not really living when you're controlled by outside circumstances. That's not living. I didn't have clarity in my GPS. I was just like the ship being tossed to and fro across the water and the waves. I was not in control of my life. I was not living my own fulfilled life. And so this thing that I've gone in and done a lot of work on this need to be needed, finding the roots of that and getting some healing in that area and getting some freedom doesn't mean that it still is not going to sneak up every now and then, right? Because I'm looking at my van and I think that I'm aware of where all the blind spots are. And I'm driving along, minding my own business, and go into the next lane and go and turn the blinker on, do a quick glance and look, and there's a car again. Like, oh my gosh, it was just a reminder of to don't let your guard down. Don't let your guard down to the old stinking thinking, those old mindsets that you had. We need to continually be working at nurturing the new neural pathways, right? So we're not being dragged into that old way of thinking. Because if that's the way you've lived, so when I discovered this about myself, it's been about 8 years or so, I was 43 years old. So, man, that's a long, no, I was 45, 46, somewhere in there, 47. When I saw this truth about myself. And so, what do I really need? What do I really need to win? That's the acronym for win. What do you really need? Ask yourself, what do I really need? So, when a blind spot comes up and you get jolted like that, when you're hit again with something that you thought you had dealt with, that's a place to pause and go and look then and examine that. Take a moment. Don't just brush by that because I'm sure you've heard the saying, right? We have two wolves inside of us, a good wolf and a bad wolf. Well, which wolf is going to live? Well, whichever one you feed. And so um, the new neural pathway that I'm growing so that I can live my fulfilled life, which is life on my terms, what I have programmed in my GPS, um, I need to be asking myself, what do I really need? So why did this come back up again? So that I can root that out. We want to poison and get rid of and uproot those old neural pathways and nurture the new neural pathways, the place and the direction that we do want to go. Wow. I mean, seriously, that is a game changer. So ask yourself today, what do I really need to win? What are my blind spots? And don't ask, do I have blind spots? Because you do. We all have them, no matter where we are in the journey, right? Um, Whatever season you're in, new ones are going to be revealed. We become, there's a proverb, it says, it's Chinese proverb possibly, it says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, there are times in our lives like this truth that I learned about myself a little over 8 years ago, I wasn't ready for 8 years prior. I wasn't in a state where I could really examine that and look at that place in my life so that I could get healing. So the more we go on our path, the more we have our GPS program, we have our vision out in front of us, we know where we're going, we develop along the way, and we get prepared and in places where, okay, we're ready for a new level of truth. That's when the teacher will appear so that we can break off another old thought pattern, another old neural pathway that's not serving us anymore, right? Because we've developed these things when we were kids, and before the age of 8 or 10, we have developed neural pathways. We've made decisions. Our brain is a goal achieving machine, and it's meant to keep us alive. And so when we have these situations happen to us when we're kids, we develop defense mechanisms unconsciously, right? Subconsciously. We just do it. And then that's what we end up adopting. Well, those 10-year-old behaviors don't serve me at 55. They don't serve me for the life that I'm going towards now, the life that I am now choosing, that I desire to live. So it's this week's theme. I'm talking about what are your blind spots? And today is Winning Wednesday. What do you really need to win today? How can you get a victory today so that you do feel like you are living a fulfilled life, which is life on your terms, and it's not dictated by the outside circumstances? And if you come up to a blind spot and you get jolted out of that numbing place or just status quo, you're just driving through, use that moment to ask yourself, okay, why did that come up again? Why did, so my situation that I had last week, I was presented with a case where I needed to, I had this thing where I needed to be liked again. I needed that person's approval. Well, I had to ask myself the question, why did that come up again? What is still in there? Why was that triggered? It's those sort of questions when we get in there and we really ask ourselves and journal through this stuff that you get more freedom. That is what kills the old neural pathways. That's what cuts it off at the roots, and that's what helps you to nourish your new neural pathways. The trees and the branches, the pathways that you do want to drive on. Winning Wednesday. Man, I want you to win today. I want you to go and win today. Ask yourself, what do I really need? Thanks for being here. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Thriving Thursday. Love y'all.